Good evening, everyone. Greetings from the blue side of heaven, as we like to call it. So hello from Chapel Hill, and again, this is Beth Fly speaking to all of you, and I'm Director of Admissions for MBA at UNC. And I just want to note that given that I'm not going to be the featured guest this evening, I'm not going to be on camera, so I just wanted to let you know that if you are seeing one person, that is Anna Laura, who I'm going to be introducing to you shortly. So just wanted to let you know that. And again, thanks for taking time out of your very busy schedules to join us. And we've got what I think is going to be a really enjoyable and interesting hour for you. And that is, the focus is going to be on one of our students, hence the name of our webinar tonight, the Student Experience. And Anna Laura Diaz, one of our students, has graciously joined us. And so you're going to be hearing from her, and you're going to have a great opportunity to ask questions on your mind about her experience to date with MBA at UNC. Okay, I'm going to be driving just a very brief PowerPoint, as you can see. And what I'm going to first do is just give you a very short overview of MBA at UNC. Then I'm going to introduce Anna Laura. I'm going to kick things off with a handful of questions with Anna Laura, and then we're going to open up the floor to you. And just as what I'm going to be doing when we open up the floor to you is you've got your chat box, and so feel free to pose your questions there, and I'm going to pull questions for the chat box and repeat those to Anna Laura. So, and then we'll wrap up. I'll give you the quick date for our next entry as well as our next application deadline. Okay, well, before I jump in, I always like to get a sense of who is with us tonight. So, for those of you who are ready to type, tell us where you're from. Multiple attendees are typing. Oh, wow, here we go. Houston, Reston, New York, Oregon, wow, Orlando, Washington, Charlotte, Oklahoma City, Alabama, Hoboken. Okay, we've got good diversity here. You guys are typing faster than I can read, but that's a great sign. Wow, we've got someone from Germany. Fantastic. Newport News. Okay, thanks for sharing on that front. That is great. And the other question I'll ask, what types of industries do you come from? I always like to get a sense of where people are working. Okay, here we go. Real estate, consulting, oil and gas, military, investment management, healthcare. Wow, look at the responses that are coming in. This is terrific. Athletics, energy trading, tourism finance. I love it. Very, very great backgrounds here. So again, thank you all for sharing that. So Anna Laura, you're going to be in some good company tonight as well. All right, well, I'll go ahead and get started. And let me just talk briefly about MBA at UNC. So as many of you probably know, MBA at UNC is a young program, and we actually launched the program during July of last year. And Anna Laura is one of our seasoned students in that she joined MBA at UNC during the inaugural cohort, which is the July of last year. And in a nutshell, the reason we launched this program is we wanted to deliver, give people who are really busy in their lives, give people great accessibility and flexibility to pursue a very high-quality MBA, which we certainly offer here at the Kenan-Flagler Business School at UNC Chapel Hill. So I'm just going to talk briefly in terms of some high points about it. So again, we're a program focused on the working professionals market, and some of you may have questions later about some of Anna Laura's classmates and the types of background, years of experience. And I will just tell you, it is a wide range, which is something that we thought that we were going to see. And again, it's for people that really need maximum flexibility and accessibility as far as their interest in pursuing an MBA because of other demands or various circumstances in their lives. It could be because of work demands, of course. It could be someone who travels very frequently, someone who has significant family responsibilities. So those are just some of the examples of reasons that students that we've seen have wanted to pursue our program. And in terms of the type of program that MBA at UNC is about, it's a strong general management foundation, and it's about career enhancement. Specifically, this is not the program of choice for anybody who wants to make a very extreme or radical career change, as I like to say. That's when a full-time program is going to come more into play, is if someone, let's say, this is just a really random example, but if somebody was in education and wanted to switch over into investment banking. So that would be just a quick example of a very extreme career change. And we're definitely a program that is global in nature, from curriculum to where our students are from to where our alumni are based around the world. And so just in terms of how we deliver the program, it's a combination of synchronous, or think about in-person live, i.e. face-to-face classes, as well as with what we call asynchronous course content, which really is a big supplement to your courses. So the unique differentiator on our program is this is a live interaction. I think some people, when they think about an online education, I think some people tend to have a belief that it's going to be a one-way type of communication, meaning packaged material or professors just talking to students without student interaction. And absolutely, nothing could be further from the truth as it relates to our program. And I see Anna Laura nodding. In fact, one of the things that our students talk about is they actually believe that they have their level of, what's the best word I would use, presence, is actually much higher through this program, and being visible, as Anna Laura is right now, even more so than being in class. So again, what we've done is delivered a really, really great program, but in a very different type of platform. So again, the main thing to know is it's going to be very up close and personal. You will earn the MBA from the Kenan-Flagler Business School, period, just as our students do with our full-time and executive MBA program. And again, getting back to the flexibility, you're going to have access to materials 24/7. You can log in from anywhere around the world, and you're going to be actively involved with your classmates, just as if you were in person. Two other components I just want to touch on with MBA at UNC, in addition to the great general management curriculum. Two other things just to highlight would be what we call our in-person immersions, as well as career management. So our in-person immersions are what I like to think about is like a capstone type of course, where students have the opportunity to come together once a quarter. And these immersions are offered. We had our first one in December. That was here in Chapel Hill. Our next one is going to be in San Francisco. And then we're also already planning out for the next ones, which will be London and Sao Paulo this year. And there are opportunities for the students to come together with one another, with faculty members, as well as with alumni and key business leaders in those areas. And each of these immersions, these count toward, in terms of credit, count toward your MBA degree here. But the other thing is they have a specific focus. So, for instance, the first immersion in December was about leadership development. The one that we have planned for San Francisco is all the content and activities will focus around entrepreneurship and innovation. So, really, really unique opportunity as far as, as far as an addition to your program here. And then lastly, we also, as part of your program here, we have dedicated professionals in the area of career management. And simply put, what we want to be able to do is to help you along the way manage your career regardless of where you're at in your life, whether it's about you're trying to progress within your company or if you're looking much further out and you want to think about starting a business. So we have professionals here that work with our students, provide some coaching, assessment, and again, helping you to develop good strategies to manage your career regardless of where you're at. So that's a very broad stroke about MBA at UNC. And just as a sidebar note, some of you are probably going to have questions after tonight, and what I'm going to do at the very end is I'm going to put up my contact information, and so that going forward, if you've got more specific questions around the curriculum or anything else at the program, we're certainly going to be here to address your questions. Okay, so now for the focal point of our evening. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Ana Laura Diaz. And she has, let me just tell you, an extremely impressive resume. And what I thought I would do, what I wanted to do, as you can see on the screen, is I just wanted to give you a few bullet points about her. Some of you may have more specifics. And again, when we get to Q&A, please feel free to post your questions about her background to her. So first of all, she is already a UNC Tar Heel alum. She has a Bachelor's of Music and Performance and a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology here from the University of North Carolina. And then she went on to law school at the University of Miami, where she earned her JD. She is in the law field currently, of course, and she is excuse me, an associate attorney at Aldridge and Connors. And prior to that, she was with two other firms, David J. Stern and also Burnham and Dolinsky. And she is a Floridian, so she currently resides down in Plantation, Florida. So very beautiful area that she is in. Okay, so Ana Laura, we're going to go ahead and get started. And what I'm going to do is I've got just a handful of questions that I'm going to ask Ana Laura that I think would be, her responses would be extremely helpful to you. And then, as I said, we're going to open up the floor. Okay, so Ana Laura, first and foremost, a burning question that everyone probably has on their mind. What were your reasons, goals for pursuing business school and earning your MBA?
Well, I'll get to your question in just a second, but I wanted to take the time out and say hi to everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us this evening. I know that sometimes with the time it's hard to with work and other obligations, so I really thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us. So as for my personal reasons for pursuing an MBA, at my most recent job at Aldridge Connors, I've been given more of a supervisory and managerial position. I actually run the department I'm in for the entire state. So off the bat, I knew that my background didn't have much general management skills or knowledge even, having not taken any business classes undergrad. So right away I knew that I needed to bolster my education somehow. If I was going to be given this supervisory position, this managerial role, I really needed to know what that all entailed. So that was one of my first sort of knee-jerk reactions when I started at Aldridge last year was I need to learn more about being a business leader and being a manager, which led me to start looking at MBA programs. The more I learned about MBA programs, again, having not had a background in undergraduate or previously, led to a lot of just overall curiosity. I really wanted to know what I was talking about, but I wanted it to go deeper than that. I didn't just want to be able to say, this is how we should set up the department, or this is the work process that we should be using. I wanted to be sure that I was able to really internalize that, and it would be something that I could take no matter what I was in, not only at my current position. And now as the program progressed, we're approaching, for my cohort, the end of the third quarter, I've really come to enjoy the managerial position, and I'm actually starting to think of a career change. So not only did it help me out for my initial sort of knee-jerk, I need to know more about management now, but now as I'm thinking to make a career transition, I know that I'll have an MBA, a degree that is easily transferable to other fields, at least more so than a law degree is for many people.
Okay, great. Hey, Ana Laura, I just saw a quick question that someone posed. How many years did you practice law before you started the program last year? So,
I've been practicing law for 6 years.
Okay, great. I thought so, but I just wanted to pose that. All right. So in particular, what specifically attracted you to our program? And once you received the great news of having been admitted, what were key factors as far as your choice to join us?
Well, one of my initial sort of limitations for this was I knew I wouldn't be able to take the time off of work to be a traditional student. I already did that with law school. I went straight from undergrad to law school, and because of loans I've accrued, I knew I wouldn't be able to take the time off completely from work. So that really puts me in the realm of the sort of executive MBA programs as well as the new burgeoning online MBA programs. I wanted a program that was convenient to me, so during the week I work a lot, and oftentimes my weekends are unpredictable depending on my workload. So I knew that I wouldn't really be able to make a commitment to a program that required me to travel, not having a set schedule in stone. So I was looking for convenience, a program that I knew I could sort of take from the own comfort of my house, or a program that was maybe local here in South Florida at night. And then once I started getting information on different schools, I was also looking for reputation. One of the things that Beth did not mention is I also teach online, actually. I teach in the paralegal studies program for a for-profit university. For-profit universities, as you may or may not know, have come under fire for their admissions policies and whatnot. So I knew I wanted a program that wouldn't be faced with those difficulties. I wanted a program that had strong institutional backing. So starting to look at that, I was really sort of narrowed into traditional institutions that have sort of been at the vanguard of this online revolution. And in my research last year, I came across a Wall Street Journal article that mentioned MBA at UNC and how UNC was making the transition online. And because of that, I got very excited, having already been a Tar Heel, as Beth mentioned, and that was one of the top programs that I was looking at.
Okay, terrific. All right, a couple more questions. And actually, this third question, I'm noticing a question that might tie in with this. So first of all, tell us more about your current experience with the demands and rigor of your classes. So it's almost, when I think about this question, it's almost like a day in the life or a week in the life of Anna Laura.
Well, I guess I have to say right away, I absolutely love it. I saw someone ask a question about the technology platform. This is a cutting-edge technology platform. Most of our classes are sort of set up the way that you see right now, where everyone will be appearing on webcam, including the professor, and we have sort of a question box, and it sort of flows like that. So what you see right now is basically the platform that we got. We do have the ability to share documents with each other, so a lot of the teachers use that to facilitate the homework assignments or the weekly assignments that we do prior to class. So we have definitely cutting-edge technology. As I mentioned, we teach online. This is light years ahead of the program that I use for the courses I teach. With regards to the demands and rigors of our classes, this is a true MBA program. This is not something where your cat can sign in for you and all of a sudden you get a degree. You absolutely are doing the work. You're using the programs. I have friends that have gone to full-time programs at Wharton, full-time programs at Southern California, full-time programs at Stanford, and the programs that we use to facilitate our learning, the simulations that we use, are the same ones they use. So you are getting a world-class education. I absolutely have no doubt of that. As far as the demands goes, it does take time management skills. You absolutely have to be disciplined and know ahead of time what your week is going to look like. So I know that I'm able to do my asynchronous portions on the weekend. So I'll know that I have to set aside 3 hours or 5 hours or however many hours to get through the material, do the work in preparation for class, and then go to class. So this is just like any other brick-and-mortar institution where you know when you have homework due, when you have your midterm, when you have your final, and going into that, you are fully aware of sort of what's expected. And because it is interactive learning, it's not that your professor comes on, talks for an hour, and then that's it. You'll get called on, so you do have to feel prepared. So taking that into account, you definitely have to have high time management skills. But I think that anyone who has any sort of demands in their life, professional or be it personal, they do have to have time management skills to an extent of that. And also, any great manager needs to have time management skills. You need to know what takes priority. So doing it that way, you really have to be able to manage your time well.
There's no such thing as overtime. We don't get overtime anymore.
35 is straight overtime and then anything at the 40.
Okay, I think we've got some audio. Okay, here we go. There you go, Laura.
Okay. Sorry. Hello?
Okay, still there.
All right, great.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
So, as far as those demands go, those are challenging, but again, nothing worthwhile ever comes easy in life with anything. So I think that what I've experienced is would be translatable to any other legitimate program, be it part-time, full-time, executive, or online.
Okay. All right, one more question for you, Anna Laura, that I will be curious for you to share with everyone, and that is, what has surprised you about the program thus far? Or maybe the first question is, has anything surprised you?
Absolutely. I think my biggest surprise, I have actually two biggest surprises, if that's possible. The first one is just my fellow classmates. The level of camaraderie that we've developed really surprised me. I mean, I expected to become friendly with at least a couple of the people in my cohort, but I wasn't sure how it would work. I've never met anyone online before. I didn't know if just seeing someone like this 1 to 2 times a week would be enough. It's definitely enough. I can tell you that of the last 15 text messages I've received, 13 of them are probably people from my program. The other thing that's really surprised me is the enthusiasm and accessibility that you have with the professors. They're all really excited to be teaching you, not only because they're professors and they enjoy what they do, but they're also just really excited about the platform, about this new development. So everyone, there's just sort of this general sense of excitement where it's really exciting to go to class every week, and we've all really sort of bonded, even though it's over the camera. And we have a countdown going to the next immersion weekend, which is actually in 16 days. And I've sent postcards to some of my friends from the program. So what really surprised me the most, I think, is just the level of interaction and camaraderie that's developed. It really does mimic what you would get in a program.
Okay. All right. Okay. Now we're going to open it up to the floor, and some people have already been asking some questions, so if you guys would just give me just a few seconds, I'm going to scroll up here and pick out some questions, and I will tell you I'm going to do my best to field to pull out as many questions as I can. So please know that if I miss you, it's certainly not intentionally. I just want to be number one, respectful of everybody's time, which we're in good shape. So right now I've got close to 6:30, so we've got a good 30 minutes with Anna Laura. Okay. So, Anna Laura, Scott has a question. Do you feel like you get behind if you have to miss a class?
No. One of the great things about the program is that each chat is recorded. So if you have to miss a class, which I've had to do for work engagements in the past, it is recorded. Now, again, this is where the time management definitely comes into play. You miss class that night, you have to work in the hour-and-a-half chat somewhere during your week, which sometimes can be difficult. but the quality of the sound, the quality of the material, everything that's presented is presented in such a way that if you miss class, you don't miss the experience. It's recorded. You can watch it. Again, if you have any questions, the professors have office hours. They're accessible via email. Some of them sometimes are accessible via cell phone even. So if you have to miss something for work, you're not going to miss out or you're not going to lose anything.
Got it. And also there's another question just related to class logistics side. This question is from Chris. What time of day are your classes? So you may want to just expand upon just talk about your current class schedule right now in Elora, and you also may want to share what courses you're taking currently.
Sure. The way the classes are set up, there's actually 2 portions of each class. So there's an asynchronous portion, which you get to watch at your own leisure time the week leading up to it. So there's 10 weeks in each quarter, and there's 10 weeks of material. Each of the asynchronous runs from 45 minutes to maybe 2 hours, depending on the density of the subject that's being explained for the week. So your asynchronous chat you do at your leisure. If you want to do it at 2 in the morning, you do it at 2 in the morning. If you want to do it at 10 a.m. on Sunday morning, you do it at 10 a.m. on Sunday morning. If you have a day off and want to do it all that day, you do it all that day. So that's the asynchronous portion. The synchronous portion is the part where you actually interact with your professor and your classmates. As for that portion, that class is a set time every week. Currently, I have class Tuesdays at 8, so I'm actually going to class right after this, and Wednesdays at 7. The class schedules are set up for student convenience, so there's typically a poll that goes out, or in the past there's been a poll that has gone out to give a window of what the best times are. And then during registration, there's sort of a couple of times and days to choose from. So going into the 4th quarter, we actually just received our registration, and the class options were 7 p.m. Mondays and Tuesdays, or I think 9 p.m. Mondays and Wednesdays. So if you're someone who lives on the West Coast, you're probably someone that wants to sign up for that 9 o'clock hour unless you're allowed to do your synchronous portion at work. So there's really a lot of flexibility, and as the program has grown, there's definitely been more time slots available. My cohort's very small, so we don't have as many options because, we obviously can't force a professor to teach us 2 people. But I think as the program continues to expand, there's going to be more and more time slots available to make it more convenient for people. I know that during the first quarter, we had, I think, classes Sundays, Tuesdays, or Monday, Wednesdays. So there's a lot of flexibility.
Okay. Jessica has a question. How was the immersion experience, and how useful is the experience comparing with the regular class?
Well, I'm sad to report that I actually wasn't able to go to Chapel Hill. I unfortunately had a work commitment that weekend that precluded me from going. From what I've heard, it was really a great experience. It built on the foundation that had already been developed as far as meeting our classmates in person. We also were able to meet with people from the October and January cohorts. So we really got to build that foundation of networking. Having not been to that capstone weekend, I can't speak to the material that was presented, but I know from a networking perspective, I've heard nothing but rave reviews.
Okay. All right. Let's see. I'm going to merge a couple of questions here. So how many students are in a cohort, which actually I can talk about that, and what's your favorite class so far? So as far as our cohort size is going, we are gradually scaling up, and unlike a brick-and-mortar program, we're not constrained, so to speak, by a set number of seats. At the same time, in terms of numbers, we're going to choose the right people. This is a rigorous program. We want the best and the brightest in the program. So from an admissions standpoint, we're going to select the people that we think are, just terrific across the front as far as their background and coupling that with a program that we offer here at Kenan-Flagler. So just to give you specifics about the cohort, I believe, let's see, July, Anna Laura's cohort was 19, let's see, then 32, I want to say, and then 38. So right now we've got, excuse me if my math is off by a couple of people there, we have currently 89 students enrolled here at Kenan-Flagler at MBA UNC, and probably after we officially start the April cohort, we're going to be well over probably 120, 125. So, and that's, I'm being a little bit more conservative there, but actually I'm comfortable to say that we're going to be very north of that number. Okay, let's see. Where was the other question? Forgive me on that. Lots of questions are coming in. Okay, let me just pick another question. This is from guest 3. Has your commitment to an online MBA program negatively affected your work responsibilities at all?
No. I can honestly say that I am spread pretty thin, but I don't feel like there's been a drop-off in either my work performance or my performance in the program. I often wish there were more hours in the day or days in the week, but and that's where the time management comes in. If you know and your employer supports you, they're willing to work with you, and if not, then you just have to be even more judicious with your time management. I can tell you that there have been some fun, social activities that I've had to miss out on, as far as, maybe not a happy hour every Friday night, things like that. But for the most part, I think that this is a program that fits well with the work professional's life.
Okay, this is from April. How much do you feel your classes are preparing you for a global understanding of business?
I think that it's working really well. Before this program, I sort of went to work every day and, reviewed my pleading, went to court when I had to go to court, and didn't really think about any of the workflow or any of the processes that were in place. It was just sort of this ether around me that I trudged through every day. This program has really lent me an understanding of the sort of behind-the-scenes machinations, what goes on every day in business. And regardless of whether you're here in the U.S. or you're in Djibouti, Africa, or in Jakarta, Indonesia, the background, that foundation, is really going to be the same no matter where you are. And that's one of the things that's sort of so inspiring and for many people terrifying about globalization is that we're all sort of trending towards the same place. And what's really going to count is the fundamentals and the foundations that you have, regardless of where you are. So I think that in that sense, this general management course of study is really a fundamental building block.
Okay. All right. Jason has just typed in a really good question. So, and the question is, building on the current question being answered, do you find yourself growing as a leader and applying the knowledge you gain in your classes? Has your current employer noticed and provided more opportunities for you?
That's actually a fantastic question, and I'm really glad that you asked, Jason. What I found is that this program has helped me change my way of thinking a little bit and made it really more analytical from sort of all sides of the position. So to give you an example, there are a lot of, the firm I work for is actually a new firm. It's growing very rapidly. So there's sort of a lot of things that are implemented that at first blush don't seem to make sense. And then when I start to think about it, it really does sort of start to make more sense from a business perspective, even though from a legal perspective it might not make any sense at all. So I've definitely been able to see myself growing there. Also, based on the communications course I took last quarter, I definitely read emails that come in or that I send out with a super keen eye to detail and will be able to say, oh no, that person is, that's not an effective communication. So in that regard, I definitely feel like I have been growing as a leader. As far as whether my current employer has noted or not, I have my yearly review in 3 weeks. So unfortunately, I don't know if they've noticed because we wait until 3 weeks to get that answer.
Okay, I'm sure good news is going to come on that front. So. Okay, so Anna Laura, I'm going to ask one more question, and then I'm going to give you just a mini break, so to speak, and I'm going to field some other questions here. So this next question is it possible to have online group studies with classmates? If yes, do you use the same platform?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, one of the things that I found so intriguing about the program and that I've actually enjoyed the most is that we do a lot of group work. So typically within your section, so within your class, there'll be 2 or 3 groups, maybe as the classes grow larger, 3 to 4 groups, and you have group assignments. And so we do it this way if we can, if everyone can find a date and time to meet. We'll facilitate, we set up our own group projects, we use the same platform, and if we can't for whatever reason, we can still communicate with wikis and email. So there's actually it feels like more options than a traditional school where you feel like I have to meet people in person. We meet online or we work offline too. So it is definitely, there is the opportunity for group work. There's definitely the opportunity for study sessions. We do a lot of study sessions before midterms and finals.
Okay, great. All right, so Anna Laura, let me give you just a short breather there, and I think I saw a question. I'm doing some bat scanning here. I think it was related to the amount of professional experience as far as classmates. So forgive me, I'm paraphrasing what I think I saw. The average amount of experience that we've been seeing, I'm going to give more of a range, has been in the neighborhood of roughly 5 to 8 years. We do have some students in the program that have less of that, of course. We also have some students that are also on the more experienced end. So again, from an admissions, from the admissions side of the shop, we look at the quality of one's experience, looking at how have they progressed, how have they had impact in their organization. And then, of course, we also are marrying together their background coupled with what their intended professional goals are. So that's a bit about the experience. Let's see, and I think here's a question. Is there any weightage given during admission for more years of work experience? The answer to that is no. I mean, we don't have, and our approach as far as evaluating, selecting members for our future cohorts comes back to, again, we are seeking excellence. There is not any one area of the admissions criteria that is weighted more so than the other. So it's a very, very holistic approach. Okay, let's see. Guest 8, I'll field this question. Have all students admitted been students looking to stay in their current fields, or are these students who may be looking to transition upon graduation? Again, the information that we have, so let me come at it from what I have been seeing looking at applications to date, and this is very much a subjective opinion, but what I have seen is most of the applicants or folks that we've admitted are at least stating to us that they're wanting to progress in their current organizations. Are they also wanting to perhaps do something different, slightly, whether it's in the same industry, but are there some folks that have some longer-term goals beyond where they are in their organizations? Absolutely. And Anna Laura, I don't know if you want to comment on that from just any conversations you may have had with classmates today, so feel free if you would like to do that.
I have one of my fellow cohort members, actually, she was an attorney as well, and she transitioned into operations with just, I guess, 3 semesters under her belt, or 3 quarters under her belt. So there are people that are looking to transition to different fields, and I know an example of someone who has been able to do it. My other fellow classmates, I think, are mostly looking to progress within their field staff.
Okay, Great. All right, I see a question from April. And I'll take this one. If we need to take a break from classes, e.g. military, is that possible to stop and then continue later on? April, that is definitely possible to do. And we want to do our best to be as flexible as we can here on the UNC side, for all of our students. And so let's just say hypothetically, if that was a situation, you were in the program, what you would do is that would be a decision that would be made by the associate dean of the program. And by the way, his name is Professor Doug Shackelford, and he was one of the key architects for the program. So again, that's going to be more, it's possible, it's just going to be more on a case-by-case basis. Okay, Karthik, when employers look at applicants, how's the online UNC degree perceived against the brick-and-mortar UNC degree? Ideally, it should be the same, but I'm curious if the market sees it differently. So, Anna Laura, let's see when I tackle that question. Do you have any perspective from your end as a student on that, as far as the perception of this program being in a virtual, being delivered virtually, as opposed to someone who's in a residential program?
I can't really speak to what potential employers would see. On my resume, it says Master of Business Administration candidate because at the end of the day, I will be walking out of UNC with an MBA degree. It's not going to say MBA UNC degree. It's going to say MBA. So as far as I'm concerned, I am getting the same quality education as anyone in the class. Goodness knows I know I'm putting in the same work as I would be in a brick-and-mortar class. In many ways, I feel like I'm putting in more work here than I did getting my law degree. So I know that this is definitely the equivalent of any brick-and-mortar MBA program. Now, whether an employer will see it that way, I don't know, but like I said, I have seen two of my classmates, one transition within his company and one transition from the legal field to an operations field, and they have the MBA candidate on their resume. So I don't think that there should be any difference in perception.
And everyone, I'll comment on that. The thing that is most important for any program that you're looking at, just as in this same term, of course, was job number one for us when we were conceptualizing this program. And that's number one, it's all about quality, absolutely all about quality. And so where I'm going with this is one of the things that we did very, very early was to talk with corporate partners of the school and to get their perspective. And again, what we heard time and time again is it comes back to the great quality of education that Kenan-Flagler is offering. And what we found is employers really were not, I guess you could say, concerned from that standpoint because they know the quality of the education that we're offering. So again, if that's lacking in any educational program, again, what do you have? That is the foundation. So anyway, I just wanted to add my 2 cents on that. The one other point I would also say, and this is purely based on some anecdotal conversations that I've had with students, but what I have gathered is the students, their employers really seem to be, I guess you could say, extra high on them being in this program because they are a working professional and going to school. And as Anna Laura alluded to earlier, you have to have a really strong amount of discipline, time management, et cetera. And so the people that we bring in are juggling a great deal, and the employers see that and very much seem to respect that. So again, I'm just pulling that based on some conversations that I've had. Okay, let's see. I'm doing a quick time check. We've got about a little under 15 minutes. Okay, I'm looking here. Let's see, Jessica, Beth, could you please address the three-year curricular question from Ramon? And my apologies. Let's see, okay, here we go. If a student wanted to take the three-year route, how would the curriculum look with regards to classes and terms? And Laura, do you want to talk about that just from your perspective? You've been doing, let's see, you've been doing 2 classes. Am I correct on that each quarter?
Yes, I've been doing 2 classes each quarter. We started back in July with financial accounting and marketing. The second quarter we did analytical tools and management communications. This term we're doing operations and econ. And next term, which like I said is starting right around the corner, it seems like, we'll be doing global marketing strategy and finance. So we're definitely doing all of the sort of foundational courses that any major MBA program from Harvard to Wharton does within the first year. Again, I'm doing 2 classes per term. That's the 24-month or 2-year route. For the 36 months, I'm guessing that you would be doing just 1, right?
Yeah, it would be a combination. So just so everyone is clear, you can complete the program in 24 months or 2 years. You have up to a maximum of 3 years or 36 months to complete the program. So what that means is essentially that would be a rhythm of on average, if you go the 3-year route, probably you would have most terms that you would be in 2 courses, but there would be some terms in which you may want to be in 1. Okay, let's see. Mark, Mark's got a good question. Is there any kind of freedom in choosing which 2 classes you take, or do you have a set class schedule?
Mark, to answer your question, for my cohort, again, because we are the inaugural cohort, we don't have much flexibility until the 5th quarter or 6th quarter, I believe. And again, that's just because since we are sort of the first, the pioneers in the program going forward, not all of the curriculum has been established yet. So for us, we have a little bit more of a limit on what the order of the courses we take is, as well as what courses we take, as well as what the courses we take or are available to us are. The cohorts that have come behind us have had more flexibility. The same 6 classes are offered, but we do have a couple of people from the October cohort in our econ class right now. So they do have a little bit more flexibility. Again, as far as how the program will progress going forward, probably Beth would be best able to answer that part. But for my cohort personally, we're a little bit more strict just because we're sort of leading the way.
That's correct, Anna Laura. You summed that up beautifully. Okay, let's see, taking another scan here. Let's see, I believe it was Bull Parade, love that screen name, that posed the question earlier. And you were mentioning your classes, Anna Laura, and just upon reflection, what's been, if you had to pick a favorite course so far, what has that been?
So initially going into management communications last quarter, I thought this is by far going to be my favorite class. You know, I obviously communicate very well. I'm an attorney. I have to talk to people. I have to argue in front of the court. This should be like my favorite class, hands down. I was really surprised, and still am actually a little bit surprised that econ so far has been my favorite class. I actually had no prior coursework aside from an introductory econ class, I think making my freshman year in college, and I think a high school class in econ. So I had no econ background, and I really had to work hard to sort of keep up with the material. But I just really enjoyed the dialogue in the class, and the professor is great. He is one of the full-time program professors. I think someone had asked, do we get the same professors? We absolutely get the same professors. So he actually teaches during the day program, the full-time program. And the material we've covered in the class, the discussions we've had in class have really just resonated with me, and that so far has been my favorite course.
Okay, Matthew's got a good question. So he starts off by saying, I've been told that due to the lack of physical meetings, online classes are slightly more difficult to take things away, so to speak. Take things away from, so to speak, that is. Do you feel that the way classes are held is conducive to the way a student learns and what they may be expecting when they've come from an actual classroom during their undergraduate studies?
So at first, this was one of the hesitations that I had going into the program, too. I didn't know, even though I teach online, I didn't know how well I would learn on this platform. But, you know, realistically, let's face it, with our iPhones and our iPads and our computers and getting the news online, we've become accustomed to taking information away online. So I didn't feel any difficulties. If you're a visual learner, you get the benefit of in your async chat, there'll be charts and graphs. If you're someone who learns best by reading, there are weekly reading assignments, both optional and required. And from those, if that's the best way you learn, that's the best way you learn. I learn best by note-taking. So when I have my async chat going, or when I am in class live, I have a dual monitor computer, so I have my chat going on one screen, and in the other one I have my Word document I'm taking notes in. So really, it's just a matter of tailoring the medium to your learning style, but I don't think that I've missed taking away anything from any of the classes. I feel that's the way that it's presented. You're close enough and accessible, the professor is accessible enough that you take away exactly what you need to take away.
Okay. Another quick question for you. Are you stuck with your cohort for the entire duration of the program?
Well, again, this is much different in my case than it would be for anyone in the program afterwards. Us original 19 sort of rotate in and out of class together. Our classes right now are about 10 per class, 10 students per class. So you won't have maybe everyone from the cohort in your class at the same time, at least in my case. Going forward, again, with more flexibility in classes, because there are, 8 classes or 10 classes or 15 classes open to you, I think you'll have more flexibility. But again, for me, because I'm part of the inaugural cohort, we are a little bit more limited. That being said, like I've mentioned, I really come to have a good camaraderie with all of my fellow cohort members. So it's not like, oh no, there's that guy again. I really enjoy all of my classes and my classmates.
Let's see, next question. Is it hard to coordinate group work with your cohort? Or I guess specifically that would be with the folks in your classes.
No, it's actually surprisingly easy. What we've mostly been doing is we'll either move right before class or right after class ends, because you sort of know the nights that you have class, we more or less blocked out that night for class. I usually try and do everything for class sort of condensed, so that way, I can free up my weekends if I want to do something. I have a wedding to go to this weekend, so I've really tried to maneuver my work around that. So typically, meeting with group members has not been difficult. We've just met right after class or right before class in order to facilitate that.
Okay. All right, let's see. I am showing we have approximately about 5 minutes left, so I'm scanning here just to see if there are some. Oh, here's a good question for you, Anna Laura. Maybe slightly off topic, but do we get tickets to the basketball games?
I don't know. When I was a student at UNC, there was a student athletic. When I was an undergraduate, I should say, at UNC, there was a student athletic fee built in to my tuition, so I was able to go to basketball games. I haven't tried it. I live in South Florida, so I haven't been able to get up there. But that's a really great point. If you do get in, you should let everyone know, because that's a great perk. Especially
I would love to say that we do. We officially do not, but I wanted to give you that question, Anna Laura, given that we're very proud of our alma mater and its reputation on the hardwood. So, okay, Josh has got a really good question. Tests, how are they taken?
It varies by professor. So there have been a few ways that it has been done. I guess sort of the most simplistic way, and the way that I think a majority of the teachers are trending towards, or professors are trending towards, is there's an open window. So the test is released maybe noon on Friday, and it'll close noon on Sunday or midnight on Sunday, and you have a 4-hour window within which to take the exam. So if you want to take it Friday night from 6 to 10, you take it Friday night from 6 to 10. If you want to take it Saturday from 11 to 3, you take it Saturday from 11 to 3. Heaven forbid, if you're a night owl and you want to take it 2 a.m. to 6 a.m., you take it 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. That being said, the only thing that's been required by most of the professors is that you actually record yourself taking it. So basically, like how you see me on camera, you would just record yourself taking the exam. And that's just to uphold the academic integrity that you haven't been receiving or giving any sort of assistance. So it's like a proctored exam, but you're being proctored by the camera, basically.
Okay.
The other professors have done it is they just tell you Saturday at noon to 4 we'll be having the exam.
Got it. Let's see. Rakesh has a question. How accessible are professors? And I'm assuming he means the latter half here are the equivalent to office hours. So can you talk a little bit about that, Anna Laura?
Sure. Yeah, the professors are super accessible. Most of them have set office hours during the week. So if there's a professor, my econ professor has set office hours Friday evenings from 4 to 6 p.m. So if you would like to join office hours, the only thing that most of the professors have access to do is to email them just to let them know. So if like 15 students email them, they sort of can say, okay, I'll take, this order, or do you guys have similar questions so I can take them all at once? So the office hours works very much how it would at a university setting where, the office hours are open from 4 to 6 p.m. So you basically log into a chat with this and boom, there's your professor. The other way professors have done it is if you email them and say, hey, I missed office hours this week, can we meet some other time? They're also accessible with that. I had a professor that called me once, because I was like, hey, I'm really confused. Do you have a second? And he called me. And then I had another professor who met with me in office hours at 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning. So I actually think they're more accessible than they were during undergrad, because I don't know any professors that met with me at 8 a.m. on a Saturday during undergrad.
Good feedback. All right. Let's see. Okay, let me fill this last question here. See, Fred, you've got a question for me. Does being or not being in a current managerial position affect your admission? Management experience, literally management experience, is not a requirement, so to speak. And by management, I mean, again, you can think about that as project management and or people management, team management, etc. So what we're more interested in on that front, again, is what comprises the quality of your professional experience, and also we're looking at we're also wanting to see demonstrated leadership as well as very good potential on the leadership front. Okay, let's see, Anna Laura, can you take one more question?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right, we're officially going to go over by a minute or so here, but. Last question for you. With today's technology advancement and global interaction over the web, do you think that being an online student actually gives you a competitive edge?
Absolutely, without a doubt. Just to expand really quickly, because I know we've gone over, again, with all of the burgeoning technology that we have, I don't see how brick and mortar institutions, the way they've traditionally have been done, are going to continue to function in that way. I really think that the trend now is towards online education, or at the very least, familiarity with online tools, familiarity with being able to meet with people online and still have that home interaction. With globalization, we're really starting to do business across great distances, and you want to be able to communicate well with people oceans away through just a webcam. So I think that this is definitely a competitive edge, and I think that this is really the forefront of what's coming. So I'm really excited to be part of it.
Okay, great. All right, before we go, and I'm going to give you guys just a couple of seconds to note this information. First of all, I just want to thank Anna Laura for her time tonight, and you've given some really just very, very helpful, insightful perspective, and that's exactly what we wanted to share with all of you tonight. Lastly, let's see, let me just go back. A quick reminder is as far as our next start, that will be the July cohort, and our application deadline is April 30th, so just a quick note there. And then otherwise, I've listed up on the screen my contact information, both my email address and my direct line here at the office. Anna Laura, I forgot to pose this by you, but I'm going to take a stab here, and I've shared your Kenan-Flagler email address, so your inbox may be getting some additional activity very shortly. So, okay, everyone. Well, again, thank you. We're so delighted that you are interested in MBA at UNC, and hopefully tonight has reinforced your interest. And if at any point you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. And lastly, I've put up on the screen our primary admissions number and the mailbox. So thank you again to everyone. Have a great evening. And on a very selfish front, I will look forward to seeing applications from many of you in the future, I hope. Okay, have a great night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anna Laura.